Welcome back, YouTube Bears fans. Johnny CMD here as always with the main event, Kevin Haggerty. This is Bears Fans Talk. Sorry we're away. We are if you didn't know already, the official I don't care what color Caleb Williams' phone is as long as he throws for 3,730 next year. Just going to get out there and say that.
My girl does care that his lips are pink.
Yeah, because your girl loves them.
He loves them. Everyone loves them.
We'll talk a little bit about that later. But first, Kevin.
Yeah.
I want to pose you a hypothetical question.
Okay.
And I really like this question. I've been asking it to people for years. I'm not sure if I can take credit for it. I think I might have heard them talk about this on the radio years ago.
Sure.
If you recall, I'm not sure if he still does this, but Warren Buffett at one point offered $1 billion for anyone who could put together a perfect bracket.
It was when we were in college he first offered
yes.
it, I remember.
So I think we're talking like 10 plus years ago.
Yeah, okay.
And
you're dating us now, John.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I mean, we're 30, both of us 33?
33.
Yeah, 33.
Yeah.
You're a couple months older, so.
Yeah.
But so Warren
like
Buffett. Warren Buffett. And I think at one point I'd calculated what the probability is if you coin flipped your bracket, the possibility of it being perfect, it's like I feel like it's in the trillions. I don't know, but it's astronomically unlikely. Warren Buffett knows that. Obviously, a big publicity stunt. But what if I want you to put yourself in the situation? You made a bracket for Warren Buffett's competition, and you make it to the Final Four. You're 3 games away from $1 billion. Warren Buffett's people call you up and be like, hey, Warren Buffett would like to have a sit-down conversation with you about your bracket. They fly you out to wherever Warren Buffett is. You sit in a boardroom. Maybe it's Warren Buffett. Maybe it's a couple of his people. Yeah. And he says, Kevin, how much am I going to need to pay you to buy you out right now and have you walk away? And I want you to think in your head, what is the minimum? You're walking into that room. What is the minimum you would go for? Yeah. And I will say, I ask this question to a lot of people because I think you learn a lot about what their value of money is, what their risk aversion is, and just kind of the way they think about like what it means to be financially set. Yeah. And when I ask people this question, the first thing they always say is like, $500 million. And I'm like, okay. Warren Buffett says, no, he's going to give you $10 million. Yeah. And a lot of people be like, oh, yeah, sure, I'd take it. I'm like, no, you're not understanding the crux of the question. What is the lowest? You would not go $1 lower. You're saying, Warren Buffett, I'm not taking your $5 million. I'm going to ride this out and risk it all on the last 3 games.
So here's what I would say first of all. So, like, is it the lump sum payment that I'm getting, or is it an annuity over 30 years?
Let's call it a lump sum payment.
Okay, because it does make a difference in my opinion.
I think everyone imagines it being a lump sum payment. So let's just say that.
So, like, if you're giving me a lump sum payment, like you could do a lot with $100 million. Like, that would, like, if he gave me, like, to ride it to $1 billion, like, $100 million to me is, like, multi-generational. Sure. All of my boys come with me.
No question.
We're going to the fucking top.
No question.
So, like, if he, like, and would I risk it all to have $0?
Okay, but that's the thing. It's like, what's the lowest? Okay, so Warren Buffett. So if you went by Vegas odds here, so you've got with 3 games left, you got a 1 in 8 chance, assuming 50-50 shots.
So I mean, there's a lot of like variables. Like, first of all, like, is this well known, right? Because like I almost feel like
it would be
like the NIL with all that stuff going on right now. The way money's like one of our other topics we're talking about has to do with gambling. Right, like I feel like that could influence the outcome of it, of different scenarios that could occur.
Oh, so you're thinking that people might throw? Let's take that off the table.
Okay, so
let's take that off the table.
Okay, so that's another thing. Another thing that I would put on the table too is that, like, do I have the best teams? Right? Do I have like UConn going all the way, or do I have some freaking school?
At this point, it doesn't matter. You're in the Final Four. Everyone's
UConn's beating every team by 16 points. Like, they're beating teams by 30 points. There's not even close. So if I had UConn winning it all, I feel a lot more comfortable.
Okay, but I'm not really talking about variables like that. I'm assuming you're going into it feeling like, you know, everything's as good as any.
I'm telling you what, if I'm an average listener, what I would be thinking. Yeah. So what's my rock bottom number? Yeah. I would probably take anywhere from like 50 to 75 million.
50 to 75?
I think would.
So 40, he said 40 million, you're saying, no, I'm walking.
I would have to.
I'm going to ride this out.
I'd have to really sit down and think about it. I mean, I think I would be pretty intimidated if Warren Buffett came in a room with me.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to paint the picture here.
Yeah.
And he's just saying, Kevin.
He's got a Diet Coke from McDonald's Egg McMuffin. And he's like, wants to sit down, talk brass tacks. Yeah. And like, for him, I almost think it would be a great social exercise on his part too, right? I'm sure the question you're posing me, I'm sure he's just as excited to see how much it takes for me.
Yeah.
I mean, Let's put it this way.
Which I think the first time I asked my wife this question, years ago, I think her number was like $500,000.
Well, how about this? One of the rules of negotiations is you don't make the first offer.
That's true.
So like, if he came to me with the offer and say he offered me say $500,000, I would say go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Just walk out.
Yeah, I'd be like, no way, I'm gonna let it ride. But if he came to me with a legitimate offer, anywhere above $50 million, I think I would accept it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Like if he comes to you with a lowball number, I'd be like, dude, are you serious? No, I'm gonna let it. For
I could see in the situation him coming out and just being like, it's me or you. We're young guys, not a ton of money, at this point in our careers. Like him coming out and just being like $5 million. And I think my number is in my stage of life, and it's risen since I've kind of gotten old and now I got a good job and everything like that. But I think my number is $70 million.
But $5 million compared to $1 billion, though,
but that $1 billion is completely hypothetical, and more likely than not, like 1 in 8, you only have 1 in 8 chance of getting it.
Yeah, but like at the same time, though, if there's nothing else that can influence it, right? If it was legitimately just playing it out as is, like. I don't know. It would be very difficult to walk away from $5 million, but I almost feel that's a slap in the face.
Yeah.
Like when the prize could be $1 billion.
But a wrinkle I'm putting into it, and the way I would justify myself taking a higher number is, you're a celebrity at this point. If you've gone this far and you've got a perfect bracket, you're getting interviewed on ESPN.
But are you getting money for that? Are you getting NIL deals for that? Is State Farm going to be like, hey, here's a contract, we want to see you?
FanDuel might. If you were the guy who sat down in a conference room with Warren Buffett and said, I'm not taking your money, I'm riding this out for $1 billion, so one of these gambling apps is going to throw you a few bucks. So I think if and like I said, you're just a celebrity, and I think if you have like the ability to be able to parlay that into something profitable, and like you become famous for being the guy who turned down $1 billion, even if you lost it, hopefully you can recoup some of that.
What if you
not $1 billion, but
it would be epic if you got famous and you won the $1 billion.
Yeah. I think people would like you less. Or I think the story would be more legendary if you lost it.
Or what I would do is I'd be like, hey Warren, I'm gonna take the 5. We're not gonna tell anyone, and we're gonna ride it out.
Oh, okay. I don't think Warren Buffett would have a best interest of.
You think he cares? You think he would care? How about this one?
Yeah, he wouldn't care enough to keep a secret for you.
So last thing I'm going to, on this topic, because I want to spend all day on it, but what would be interesting would be like, say you did take the payout, and then what if your picks hit? Then
there's obviously that part of it.
But how would you feel knowing like you settled for say he gave you the $75 million?
I wouldn't feel bad about it, because like it's generational money, and at a certain point in $1 billion it's just so like.
What's the difference?
Yeah. At a certain level, like the diminishing returns, obviously, I don't know. Yeah. I've never had $1 million. I've never had $1 billion.
Yeah. So you probably won't have $1 billion.
No, I'll probably not have $1 billion.
I'm pretty confident.
Not at these 59 subscribers. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes.
Get us to 100 subscribers, and we will go to the draft.
I know there's a lot of new listeners out there. We do talk mostly Bears fans talk. We actually talk about the Bears quite a bit. We are in the off season right now, so and March Madness is obviously a super hot topic. Your brackets are probably fucked. I'm actually not in awful shape. If U of I beats UConn and Purdue wins the championship, I think I could be in good shape for my bracket.
Who did you pick winning it all?
Purdue.
Okay.
That's Zach Edey, man. 7'4", 300 pounds. Guy should be playing defensive end out there.
He's a big guy, but he was on the team when they lost to the 16 seed in the first round last year.
I felt like that was, but like gave him more motivation to come back this year
for sure
with vengeance.
Yeah,
I mean,
so they just won. They're going on to the Elite Eight. So we're recording this as of night 2 of the Sweet 16.
Yeah,
Illinois going to the Elite Eight.
It's
pretty exciting.
I mean, it's pretty cool.
I watched the tail end of that game.
I'm like feeling like I can like U of I again, even though they waitlisted my ass. But like my son could potentially go there, so like I can like them again.
I'm not sure if I got waitlisted or not either.
Fucking they sucked.
Yeah, I mean back then there was a lot of scandal because they,
Blagojevich.
I mean
that's what I blame it on.
Was it Blagojevich?
Yeah, Blagojevich.
I think that I don't think it runs as deep as the governor.
And they were letting it. They were trying to increase out of state.
Yeah, so they're trying to get more money that way.
You're telling me I got into IU, I got into Mizzou, I got into Iowa.
You applied to all these places?
Yeah, dude. I got waitlisted to U of I.
I don't know.
Couldn't believe it.
I think I applied to Iowa, Illinois State, and Illinois.
The Illinois State University.
The Illinois State University. They let me in.
Of course, they let everyone. You got a heartbeat. I fucking told you, big fish, little pond.
So what are you even thinking so far about March Madness? Anything notable? I mean, I've watched not as much as I would have liked to. Those first 2 days are awesome. Mm-hmm. Just like being able to, like in the quad screens on YouTube TV that you're not able to watch.
So I was actually in Florida. I was in Arizona, and so like it was fun. I didn't get to watch it as much as I thought I would have watched it, but it's just like almost overwhelming. So much going on at one time.
That's what I'm like about, especially things something like basketball.
Yeah.
Whereas it really comes down to like, you know, when I'm watching like 4 games at a time, I'll go to like, okay, this second half game is getting pretty close. It's getting down to the wire. I'll flip onto that one.
Yeah.
And just being able to like kind of pick and choose, because a lot of these games aren't good.
Yeah.
But like there's some magic that you can pick out of there. Like, you know, that one, what was the name of the guy who hit like the 10 threes?
Oh, yeah.
Who's 24 years old.
Yeah, like a super senior.
Yeah, and then all like the memes about like the best thing about March Madness is these future NBA lottery picks getting taken down by future State Farm agents or like our like some
future accountants.
Yeah,
I know. I saw that. Like, I think college basketball. Like, I liked the Bulls and their era when like the Derrick Rose era. I was such a big Bulls fan, and I've talked about it, been very vocal about it with many people how much it hurt when Derrick Rose got hurt and didn't come back. But like the NBA product it's not appealing to me.
Yeah,
I really don't enjoy it. In fact, I don't even know what team KD's on anymore. But like KD, Irving, LeBron, like all that stuff, like the way they move teams now, and Harden and Giannis, and like I like the Joker.
Yeah,
I think he's great, but like outside of that, I really don't enjoy the product of the NBA. It's kind of like
it's just like
showboating team.
There's something about the personalities in the NBA that they've kind of gotten stale for me. But I haven't been watching, so I mean, I'm not like super.
It's not fun. It's not fun to watch.
Yeah,
but like,
I think once you fall out of it, it's like then it's hard to get back into it because you're not really following the storylines.
I mean, yeah, but like college basketball though is like it's like actually like these kids are like they're giving their heart. Who's like those guys aren't going anywhere.
Yeah,
there's like 60 people drafted per year, and that's it.
Yeah, there's always been an appeal to like they're doing this just because they love it or this is their last opportunity, and like on this kind of stage they're never gonna have that type of experience again.
Gotta help them sell a car later one day.
So,
I mean, not to be an asshole, but you know what I mean though. Like you hit a big shot, like it's sell an insurance policy one day.
Yeah,
like going to sales, it's gonna help you, you know.
Yeah,
so, but it's very fun to watch, man.
Absolutely. So I want to transition us into actual Bears talk. We talked about Caleb Williams getting caught at the USC women's basketball game with a pink phone, and everyone seemed to want to. This is like causing an uproar, and personally. I had 2 thoughts about this that probably not hot takes because I feel like everyone knows that we want Caleb and we know the Bears are going to draft him, but I'm not bothered by him painting his nails.
Yeah.
In fact, you know what? I'm on record of saying this. I think I've said this to some people at work and to my wife that when like girls like do like their nails like in like really cool ways. I have like a really cool like manicure and like the colors and like the accent nail in like a completely platonic way. I'm like, that's really cool. I really like your nails. And I've said it before. I wish there was like a male equivalent of like painting your nails to kind of have that little like accessory to your look. That being said, I don't think I'd pull it off.
I was just saying,
I'm not going to be painting my nails when Caleb Williams comes to town, but I'm a big fan of people who are just like, yeah, this is what I like. This is what I do, and I honestly don't care at all.
So do you remember what I told you before we came on camera about the conscious thought I had today?
Which one?
About the millennials and the Gen Z thing.
Yeah.
So like
everyone hates Gen Z now.
Yeah. So I'm gonna let you guys know I had this conscious thought today that like the best thing about Gen Z is like old boomers and the generation before us. They don't hate millennials anymore. Like we're not the bad guy. Gen Z because they're different than us.
Yeah.
And like. In my opinion, this is just purely like a generational difference thing. Like they're just different. They express themselves in different ways.
Yeah.
They're very flamboyant's not the right word, but they're very out there and they're very outspoken and they're willing to express themselves much more than even millennials. Like people thought we were crazy putting stuff on social media and stuff like that. Like they're different than us, and like I'm totally cool with it, man. Like here's the thing. I don't care what you do, like, in your personal life. If you sling the rock, like, let's go, boy. Mm-hmm. Like,
well, I'm Googling this because I was trying to remember that so this isn't like a millennials and a boomer and a Gen Z thing. This is like a always thing. People always hate the generation that comes after them. And I remember there's something really interesting, Presley came on the scene and everyone thought that he was obscene and thought that like he was the worst thing ever. And then Presley hated the Beatles and called them un-American or immoral. So like it's just like
they weren't American.
Well,
they were British.
Well, whatever. But they said they believed they were a force of immorality in America. The group is destroying the cultural fabric of a once great country.
I don't hate the Gen Zs. Just to be clear, I'm just saying like the heat's off the millennials.
But that's the way it's always going to be.
Yeah.
And what I strive to be in the future is not being the guy like, oh, this young guy with a pink phone and he's a football player, he should be tough. Like I strive to be. I'm gonna get old, and I'm already getting old. I'm already older than all the athletes that we're going to be talking about today, with the exception. No, Keenan Allen's younger than us too.
Is he?
Yeah, he's 32. So I am just striving to not be the guy who just like doesn't understand and gets angry about things like this.
I'm not angry. I think that's a good take.
I don't think you are either.
I'm not angry about it at all. I actually think it's funny that it's news.
My hot take was me saying that I kind of like nail polish. And you know what?
That is a hot take.
Maybe I'll paint my nails for the first Bears game if we draft Caleb, when we draft Caleb. But just to say to that, like then this TikTok.
He's 31, by the way.
Keenan Allen?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he just turned
30. Born in 1992.
Okay.
Lips are pink. You're grown up.
So, I mean, maybe you could argue it's a little bit cringe, but I'm happy that Caleb Williams is not just like hiding amongst himself when the internet is diving on him. And he's just like, yeah, whatever, man. Like, I don't really care, because Chicago is not going to be nice to him when he gets here, especially if he throws an interception in his first game.
Well, here's the thing, though. If he wins ball games, I don't think people are gonna care at all.
No, not
like if you win, I don't think Chicago's the hardest city to play, because I think Philly's probably the hardest city to play, and I think New York's pretty hard to play in. But I think Chicago's one of the top, more difficult cities, and nothing shuts haters up like winning.
Yeah, but there's going to be adversity.
Sure.
I don't think, and I said at the Open,
he cares though. The not the knock. The thing about Caleb is, he does this stuff that he does, but like he legitimately cares about football and he wants to win the game. Do I think Mitch wanted to win? Yes. Yeah. Do I think he had that killer instinct in him? I don't know.
Well, I said at the Open, I don't care as long as he throws 3,730. There's going to be some adversity. I bet the first couple of games are going to be rough.
He's a rookie.
Yeah.
In playing in the NFL.
Yeah. So like
it's going to be hard.
You say winning is going to solve everything, but those first three games, like if it goes poorly, I'm envisioning a scenario in which Caleb Williams gets booed in some way, shape, or form in the first game in Chicago. What do you think? Did you see that happening? Caleb Williams struggles for a couple of drives. The Bears are losing. Maybe throws an interception. Normal rookie, stuff that should be allotted. I think he gets booed.
I don't think that's an inaccurate statement, but I don't think it would be overwhelming boos.
I don't think it's going to be some.
It's
not going to be shaking the rafters with boo, get him out of state, but there's going to be like the boo birds.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's going to be those guys who never, like the people like, I told you so, never should have traded Justin, who are going to boo. But I think the vast majority, and I'd say greater than 75%, 75 to 80% will not boo.
Yeah.
And I bet you, like, I just don't. And I don't think the city will turn on him in the first. I think he gets a whole year at least of runway.
I don't think so. I think if he's really struggling.
Well, I mean,
for like 6 games.
Okay, if he throws 40 picks and 2 touchdowns.
I know. I'm saying, like, I'd say if the Bears go 2-4 through their first 6 games, he's going to be getting booed if he's not playing well.
I mean, they haven't released the schedule yet, but like we got to check with this guy.
Our schedule doesn't look bad.
But the order, though, like if you got to, like, say you start in Green Bay, right, and then you got to, like, just difficult. I agree, the schedule didn't look bad when we went through it previously, but it could be tough if they make you play a lot of away games.
And the people who didn't want Caleb to come here in the first place are not going to be accepting of that. But anyway, a week or two was his pro day.
Yeah.
Which I watched a lot of the videos. And some of the takes I've seen, the Keenan Allen thing was great. I made a short about that. Like that, I was so hyped about he said he was trying to be incognito, but he was like wearing all the Bears stuff, and obviously he's got the big beard. But then they adapted up with Caleb Williams.
Yeah, dude.
And we had talked about. Did we talk about in the last podcast? They both wear 13, and the fact that
I told you that. Oh yeah, we did.
We didn't talk about it on the podcast?
Yeah, we did talk about it, about who's yielding to who.
So it doesn't really seem like there's any bad blood there. I loved it. Watching the videos, I mean, it looked the way I was. I mean, how much can you really stand to learn about a guy throwing to a receiver with no coverage?
No pads.
Yeah.
And all the throws that they make are scripted.
Yeah.
So like that, like it's like basically an entire scripted set, which essentially is like if you're running your offense right, your first 20 plays are scripted anyways.
I mean, if you're looking at like the mechanics and everything like that, and clearly he's got a good arm, clearly he's like moving well, so it was fine. I like one negative take I heard a lot of people said like everything they showed was very vanilla, which I don't have the palate to know what a good pro day versus a bad pro day is, but it sounds like the Bears are pretty much locked in.
I mean, like Jack Harlow said, I'm vanilla, baby.
Vanilla.
What is that? I'm gonna choke you or whatever. But like, like the thing is like he doesn't need to show anything. And like what I did want to talk about though is the pro days in general.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we've talked about this previously. A lot of coaches aren't going to combines anymore, and more coaches I feel like are going to pro days. And so like the pro days, in my opinion, they're better for the player because they're on their home turf.
Yeah.
They feel comfortable. It's scripted. They're throwing to their guys. Whereas at the combine, you got to go to frickin' Indy.
Yeah.
You got to be in an area you're not super comfortable with. You're throwing to guys you don't know how fast they are, how slow they are, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you can really only hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And like these pro days, though, they're getting so much hype, like so much hype. Every single one of these quarterbacks pro days, like Adam Scheffler's posting them left and right, and I'm seeing like, look at this throw, and the angles are super awkward. They're like some dude on his cell phone like this, like it's like whoa. I'm like, I couldn't tell if that throw was 30 yards or 70 yards.
I think you know why this is becoming such a thing where the players have more power than they did. It's because it's NIL money, and this is really the first generation of players coming into the draft now, like who are not coming in hungry, like.
That's a great point.
Yeah, so I mean, they're coming in like Caleb Williams is a millionaire certainly already. So I mean, he doesn't have as much to lose, which a lot of people are saying, you know, is a problem because you want these rookies to come in hungry and want to prove themselves. But now they're coming in a little more with an attitude like, hey, more needs to revolve around me and catering towards me, which I understand. That's just the economics of it. But I think this is going to become like more people skipping the combine, more people skipping like the physicals and things like that, especially like these top level guys. Yeah. I think this is very much like the beginning of it, and it's going to be maybe get a little more crazy, but we'll see.
That's actually a really good point that I actually like forgot about, like the NIL thing, and I actually want to look it up how much. So Caleb Williams, $2.6 million is what they got for him. How much is Caitlin Clark worth?
Caitlin Clark, I don't know.
She's got to be worth. Everyone's got Bronny as the top for sure. Like,
is he? Because Bronny isn't like tearing it up or anything.
It doesn't matter. It's
I guess.
James. I mean, I feel like Nike just has to sponsor him. Like,
it's probably.
Phil Knight's like, here's a few million.
Meanwhile, LeBron is just hanging on to a mediocre Lakers team just so hopefully he can play with his son in 2 years.
I mean, let me tell you, I have no idea. So Caitlin Clark's at $3.1 million.
$3.1 million.
So I actually heard an interesting thing about Caitlin Clark. Do you know what the max WNBA salary is?
What?
Oh, I don't want to misquote it. WNBA salary.
Is this going to make me sad?
Oh, it's horrific. $234,936.
That's the max. Max. They can't pay you more than that, or that's just the most that anyone's getting paid?
I don't think they pay more than that, man.
Wow.
That's literally disgusting.
I think there could be a revolution around Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. I feel like I've seen a lot more visibility in this year's WNBA March Madness. 100%.
Oh, not WNBA, the women's bracket.
The women's bracket.
Yo, I watched the Caitlin Clark game the other night. I'm like, she was down at halftime or whatever. She got fouled or whatever, and she's like, "Let's fucking go!" And she drops 40. Like, let's go, Caitlin Clark.
Yeah. So, I think she could be the Jordan of the WNBA.
I mean, more than that. Like, it's good for her.
More than Jordan.
Well, the Big Three offered her $5 million to play 10 games or some BS.
The Big
like
Three
that.
what?
Well, Ice Cube's Big Three that he's got.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Ice Cube's got a Big Three league where like it's 3-on-3 half-court basketball.
Okay. And
they offered her like $5 million to come play.
I guess she probably said no.
I mean, $234,000 versus $5 million.
Yeah, but like. But she gets hurt at a game like this, then all that. I mean, Caitlin Clark's going to make a lot of money off of sponsorships.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. But next up, so we want to talk a little bit. So the Bears officially get the Hall of Fame game. So they get an extra. So not only is this is like a main stage open up to the season, it's an extra preseason game, which I think is going to be great in terms of getting things tuned up, presumably with definitely with a new quarterback, presumably Caleb Williams. So what are your thoughts?
So there's actually something interesting. There's a little rumor floating around. So last year, I actually believe as well. So the Bears were a finalist for Hard Knocks, which is the HBO series. And ended up going to the Jets, and if anyone remembers who played in the Hall of Fame game last year.
I think for a couple of years, this has kind of been like the Hard Knocks treatment. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's the team that gets the Hall of Fame game tends to get Hard Knocks as well. So, like, my question I want to pose to you as far as, like, as a fan, as a fan of football, I really enjoy Hard Knocks. I think it's super cool to like have like the inside path or whatever. But like the outcome of Hard Knocks never seems to be good for the team to have the cameras in there and stuff. Yeah. So as a Bears fan, with a new quarterback coming in, or even if Justin Fields was in here, how would you feel about the Hard Knocks coming this year?
From an entertainment standpoint, I like it. I think because I actually have never sat down and really watched Hard Knocks.
So
I've heard everyone really likes it.
The music's amazing. The cinematography is amazing.
As a fan, from an entertainment standpoint, I would really like watching it. But in terms of like, do I think it's going to produce the best outcome for the season? No, I think that it can only serve as a distraction.
Yeah, it's gonna be awful.
And just kind of put a little bit more Hollywood on an already pretty Hollywood guy, Caleb Williams, which is his biggest criticism. And then we didn't even talk about Jalen Johnson. No, what am I saying? The cornerback Jalen Johnson, right? Did you see this quote?
About the Hollywood thing?
Yeah, it's just like guys are going to see right through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, he put a little bit, he put it a little bit out there, like, hey, man, you can't be walking in all Hollywood. They got to earn it first.
Yeah. I think that, like you said, from an entertainment standpoint, I think it would be amazing to have Hard Knocks. It's a really cool show to have. But, like, if I'm sitting here and I'm trying to construct a team, like, I am not accepting Hard Knocks for the Bears at all.
I don't think it's a matter of, like, I think if because I'm not sure who's ultimately, I think if the NFL, if they say, hey, Bears, you're doing Hard Knocks, and the Bears are doing Hard Knocks, I think the decision comes with someone above the team, because I don't think any coach would want that. And I'm not sure
what kind of... You think that'd be cool? I actually kind of want to know what Eberflus does, though. Like, it would be kind of like a cool, like Wizard of Oz behind the curtain sort of situation. Like why does Eberflus even still have this job? And I hope they would show, but I don't mean it like that. But, like, there's got to be something that's the it factor about Eberflus.
I like Eberflus grew the beard.
Whoa. Did not see that.
You never seen the beard? Beard looks good on him. He looks more like a guy who I would tend to want to follow. There's something about it.
Wow.
You haven't seen the beard. He's had the beard for a little while now. It makes him look a little bit more official. It makes him look more like a football coach. You are really into this, I can tell. Yeah?
I'm digging it.
Neither here nor there.
What do you mean neither here or there? He had legitimacy for sure.
I think so.
He has an awful hairline to begin with. Like,
does he? For a guy this age?
I mean, but like, yeah, and he looks good.
Right? I like it.
He kind of looks like like a J. Crew model or something, man. Honestly.
Well, here's Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
As for a comparison.
Wow. I'm into it. Yeah. I think that's great. Good for him. Right. Yeah. Nice job, Eberflus. Looking good, buddy.
But anyway, yeah, there's no coach in the NFL wants Hard Knocks. I think the decision comes above the team.
So, but it could be the Texans too. I think the Texans would be a great team to do Hard Knocks for. But, like, you can't not consider that Hard Knocks is coming to the Bears, and it would be I'm just calling it out. It would be a scary situation for all Chicago Bears fans if we do get Hard Knocks.
The Bears have been talk throughout all the national outlets. Before Justin Fields was traded, I would turn on ESPN every morning and they'd be talking about the outcomes for Justin Fields and Caleb Williams. I think that it makes the most logical sense that this happens.
Yeah. So I went to Arizona with these 5 other couples, and they all know I like the Bears. You guys are now hopefully listening to this podcast. And one of the first things they all asked me was, like, how pumped are you for the draft? And I'd be like, funny enough, I have a podcast where I talk about it all day.
Oh, you told him that when
I mentioned it to them in passing. But, like, at the same time, though, like, we are very excited here in Chicago. The rest of the nation knows.
Yeah.
I mean, which is almost like making a case for Hard Knocks, like why they would want it.
I think
give it to this Texans, let them implode themselves, and let's move on.
All right. Well, I think it could happen to us, but I think and it'd be fun to watch. It'd be the first time I ever watch it, so I'm sure we'd learn a lot of cool things.
I agree.
All right. Next up, a couple of NFL rule changes, and I feel like you've done a little bit more reading on this. So
yeah. So let's first. So the two big ones were the hip tackling, the hip check tackling, whatever it is. Like that will no longer be allowed. That'll be a penalty, a personal roughing, be like a roughing call, so probably 15 yards or whatever. And so, like, interesting enough, when I was making my playoff run before I completely just fizzled out and only won 3 games to get second last place. My last trade piece and my only holding on to like anything I had left was Mark Andrews. And Mark Andrews tore his ACL or whatever.
Was it through like a hip?
Was through a hip tackle.
Yeah.
So like and I get it. Sometimes it's the only way you can take down these huge tight ends or like Derrick Henry. Like when you have like a 350, it was that.
Is this Mark Andrews?
Yeah, it's Mark Andrews, the hip drop tackle. Yeah. And like, see, look at his name.
Yeah.
Like, but a lot of times it's a defensive back trying to take down a position player.
Yeah.
Like a running back or a tight end. It's very difficult. And like, fine, whatever. I get safety to players. I get all of that. I seriously, deeply, and truly do. Because the last thing, John, that we want to see is our star players that we love and know get hurt.
Yeah. So I mean, like, we've seen moves like this before. I kind of equate this mostly to like you can't lower your head, you can't lead with the helmets. And then I feel like early on...
Do you remember the horse, when they used the horse
collars?
Yeah.
Horse collars, I feel like, was something that obviously needed to be changed. Because you can make the decision not to grab someone's collar. I feel like a lot of the things are just like, hey, you're running at a player. You sometimes don't have full control of how you're going to hit them. So a lot of people are like, head down or whatever is kind of like hard to teach or to do in the moment. I feel like this is even harder.
Yeah.
And I understand, like, I think, it's a player safety thing, and I understand, like, the NFL, like, this is bad for the league when players like this get hurt.
Yeah, you don't want to see players get hurt.
But it's another attack on the defense, and it's another situation for a very subjective call the refs have to make in real time that could really affect games. And I wonder what kind of penalty this is going to be.
Probably 15-yarder.
Probably 15
automatic
first down. I'm sure it is, and that's like a huge thing.
But like, agreed, and like that's part of like, it's almost like I agree with player safety, but I'm not here to argue that at all. But it's almost like you're just giving the offense just another. Like you're hurting the defenses so much now. How is a defensive back supposed to take down someone who outweighs him by 100 pounds? Like that's where it's starting to get a little aggressive. And I think J.J. Watt actually tweeted it, and he was like, might as well just put flags on them now. I
mean, you can write that conspiracy theory that, like, flag football is becoming an NFL sport, and like maybe that's
an Olympic sport,
the Olympic sport. So maybe that is something that's going to happen, but like,
I'm like. Do you remember when they did the whole quarterback things? And I think Brian Urlacher tweeted it, like, NFL, the no fun league.
Yeah.
Like, and this always happens to come from the older players talking about older generations or whatever, right?
I'm saying, shaking your fist at the flag.
I'm all for player safety, but at the same time, though, it's still football and it's still a physical game.
Yeah.
And like at the end of the day, you have a 180 or 200-pound corner or 185, 190-pound cornerback trying to take down a physical, full-grown man whose sole job is to run over the line.
And I feel like you also like
defensive line. How are they supposed to tackle?
And I feel like you also like, how are you going to tackle someone from behind now? Like, I feel like you kind of have to use your leverage in that way.
Dude, they're gonna come out with something crazy.
We'll have to see how this goes. I mean, this could be one of those things, like, if it just becomes like super Mickey Mouse throughout the course of this year, maybe they'll remove it, but we'll see. Let's see. I mean, we'll have to see how it goes in practice. Like I said, I mean, if it prevents injuries and it doesn't really super change the quality of the product and defense,
it's gonna help the product.
Well, I mean, but if defenses look super handcuffed and like, if they're throwing flags, if we're getting 3 of these a game,
they're gonna start finding them. John, they will not be tackling like this. Yeah, I promise.
Yeah, we'll see.
Here's the other thing though that I brought this up one time on a podcast. I think the defenses are too good. Like, we've seen atrocious quarterback play this year, John. Just atrocious quarterback play, and that's because these defenses are too freaking good, and they need to find another way to slow them down.
Okay. So,
but I don't know. All right, so let's talk about the other rule change, which I actually, first of all, I think it's a great rule change, which is a new kickoff rule. So let me read off to you exactly, if you guys haven't heard the specifics of it, because I know you probably heard it in practice, but let me just tell you really quick. So the new format, we will see the ball kicking from the kicking team's 35-yard line, but every player on the kicking team, other than the kicker himself, will now line up at least 1 foot on the returning team's 40-yard line. At least 9 members of the returning team will line up in the, quote, setup zone, beginning 5 yards opposite on its own 35-yard line, stretching to its own 30-yard line. So they can go anywhere in between the 35 and the 30, with up to 2 returners in the, quote, landing zone, which is at the 20-yard line. So you can have 2 guys back there, up there. So first of all, before we jump into this, I think it is no coincidence that they change the kickoff rules and let Devin Hester into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, maybe.
Because that style of returning, that era of football is now over.
Yeah.
And we're now moving to this, which once again, for player safety, we can talk about it in a second.
Well, right. Yeah. So I think the reason why they changed it the way it did before, where they moved everything up and we're seeing a lot more touchbacks, is because you just got people running from 50 yards down the field. This makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this, I think they're completely right on about
Yeah,
this.
I agree. But that era of football of legitimately full-grown men trying to rip each other's heads off and one man with the ball basically playing kill the carrier, going full speed.
Yeah.
Like, that's over.
Yeah.
And the best to ever do it, Devin Hester got in the Hall of Fame. So I think that was a nod to him. Because, like, other than that, Devin Hester was not a very good football player.
Oh, of course not. No.
Sorry, Devin. You
were the one. Yeah, I'm the one here who said, like, hey, he probably didn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
But it makes sense now that they changed the rules, that they kind of like.
And then also a touchback. I think. Am I wrong about this? It starts at the 35.
Ooh, I don't know.
I think because otherwise this isn't going to change anything. They're still going to put the ball in the back of the end zone.
I don't know that. But first of all, kudos, not first or second of all now, kudos to the XFL. You think the XFL is going to get like a kickback? Like, hey, this is a great idea. Here's some money.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Do you think they deserve, like, you think Goodell's like...
I don't know. Goodell's not just going to give them money.
We're a multi-trillion-dollar business here.
Yeah, and you're just siphoning off of our interest when we're not around. So
yeah, I think good for the XFL. But this, though, I legitimately think this is going to be great for football. It's going to revitalize the return game, which is going to be fun. Going to take away the surprise onside kick. Or like in general.
You can't. You have now to announce if you're going to do
exactly. What Super Bowl was it? Was it Pete Carroll who came out in the second half and did an onside kick right away, like in the Super Bowl?
Touchback possession to the 30.
It's a 30.
30. So that moves it 5. So that's another incentive not to just kick it out the back of the end zone.
It's going to be fun though. I think it's going to be cool to see. I think we're going to see
kickoff returns are exciting, and I can't remember were there any last year? I'm not sure if there.
I don't think so.
I saw a stat only 22% of kickoffs were returned.
Sounds right.
Which is even higher than I would have guessed, honestly.
I mean, yeah.
But yeah,
it was kind of like a wasted play.
Yeah, I do think that the NFL nailed this one. So
this is a great rule change. And I'm excited to see some returns, and it's a great exciting thing, and like how creative can we get, and like, you know, some special teams coordinators probably going to drop some cool stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I think it's one of the better rule changes that they've had in recent history.
We'll see how it works out in practice, because, you know, looking at this, like, I wonder, like, how when they actually kick it to the returners, how often are they getting past the 30? And if it's often, they're just going to go back to kicking right out the back of the end zone again. But interesting. All right. So last topic I think we wanted to talk about was the Shohei situation. And obviously we're not much of a baseball podcast, but yesterday was opening day. And
it was.
I think we're late to the party here, but I think this is a really interesting thing that's going on. You want to kind of give us the long and short, the summary? Because I feel like I missed the first day this broke.
Yeah.
And then after that, everyone was just kind of talking about the aftermath, so I don't feel like I got the good details as to what actually happened.
Yeah, so like everyone's probably heard the story at one point or another, but I think it deserves a broader conversation. Essentially what happened was his interpreter, which is, what's his name? Ipe.
Yeah.
Apparently, he stole $4.5 million wired to a bookie to cover his gambling.
An illegal bookie. Yeah.
Covering his gambling debts. And it was like, is Ohtani placing the bets? Is Ipe placing the bets? Yeah. Like, where is it going on? And there's a lot of different things to kind of cover, you know, here or there. But
so just to kind of like clarify. So the official storyline from Shohei's group is he had no idea that this was going on. Ipe had access to his bank accounts and made 10 $450,000 separate wire transfers to a bookie to pay off his gambling debts And Shohei knew nothing about it until it was brought to his attention.
Yeah, which, in my opinion, is, I'm not here to debate
it's outrageous.
that.
It's an outrageous claim.
It is. And, I guess, more or less, I mean, there's actually, a really good thing that I found that, the scenario 1 or scenario 2. So let me read scenario 1, what it can be. So Ippei is a terrible gambler who was lucky enough to be in Ohtani's orbit, which has afforded him the leeway with his bookie in the event a large payout was necessary, which it was. Ohtani did his boy a solid and cleared the debt, which left him way too close to illegal activity, and lawyers got involved to clear it.
So let's talk about that. So an argument that I've heard is so a lot of people are saying no bookie, no illegal bookie
would give you
is going to give you $4.5 million of credit. I think this guy makes good money. I think I heard them throw around that he makes a couple million a year doing what does for Ohtani. But no bookie is just going to front you that, and then no bookie is also just going to be wire transfer me, because the paper trail associated with that. But anyway, so that's scenario 1.
Yeah, basically, it's
that this Ippei guy just stole from Ohtani. Yes. None the wiser.
Scenario 2 is Ippei was the middleman for Ohtani and the bookie. Ohtani could fund Ippei's account and have Ippei place bets for him in Ippei's name and from Ippei's account. Maybe they got sloppy and Ohtani paying the bookie himself was a clear red flag, and they had to turn to Ippei for relief and turn him into a thief, which would mean that he would find an outlet for Ippei or someone else that had early access to an account, or Tony's or gain access, blah, 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 blah. Essentially, it's Ippei's the fall guy. He's just basically the middleman.
Yeah.
Which I think it's basically A or B in Ohtani's camp saying it's definitely A, scenario 1, and whatever. Right?
I think in stories like this, I mean, first of all, I don't think we're ever going to know. And I think the MLB is going to maybe investigate this, but I think move on.
They want it to go away.
Yeah, they want it to go away for sure. So I think that in situations like this, I usually just tend to believe that there's some sort of middleman. I don't think that Ippei was working by himself, had access to all of Ohtani's money, and was able to just pay off these debts. And I don't believe that Shohei Ohtani is actually out there betting $4.5 million. In sports betting. I think probably the mix of the two is, maybe Ippei had some gambling debts. Ohtani wanted to try and help him out, or maybe he was kind of aware of this going on, or maybe placed a couple bets himself, but I don't think he truly lost. I don't think either one of those scenarios are completely the full true sentiment of what's going on here.
What I also think is super interesting, not interesting, but gambling, and we can talk about this forever on this, but not forever, but we've talked about it offline and personally, just how mainstream and regular and part of life gambling has become.
In the last couple of years, since the online books have become legal, it's I've been shocked by how open they've been talking about sportscasts and talking about lines and talking about who you're picking. I mean, they always did picks, but it was always just who you think's going to win.
What's a good parlay that I'm feeling?
Are they going to cover?
Yeah.
It's gotten a little gross.
It's very ingrained.
And we've talked about on this podcast betting. We've done whole podcasts kind of talking about betting and stuff like that. It's just become very ingrained in sports as a whole.
Our friend group talks about it. When I talk to other people, we talk about it. Everyone talks about I think they can win, but are they going to cover? Right. When my favorite saying, right? Good teams win, great teams cover. Yeah. Right. It's so ingrained right now. It can't not be something that players who actually play the game are not affecting.
But here's the thing,
especially new generation.
I do think it is completely within every league's and every GM's right to say, hey, you're a professional athlete, you can't gamble on professional sports. So you can make the argument that it has become so normalized now, but for the same reason, you can't insider trade just because it's something that's going on other places.
So how insider trading works is you can't trade your own company. You have blackout periods, stuff like that, right? You have all this trading rights.
Insider trading is more broad than that. It's you can't make trades based on information that you have through your job.
So say Ohtani was gambling, but he wasn't gambling on baseball.
I still think that you're, as a professional athlete, you're still too close to the whole world of it.
So he can't gamble on a football game.
I don't think you should be allowed to. No, I personally don't.
Okay, well, can he play fantasy?
No.
Oh, can't even play fantasy.
I think it's his own form of gambling.
He can't play fantasy football.
I don't think you should be allowed to. No.
Can he buy squares?
At a
fantasy
at a
football.
party he can buy squares as long as there's not some sort of third party bookie involved.
Okay, so he can buy squares at
Yes, if he's at a Super Bowl party with Ipe and his friends, they can.
But Ipe's got to make the transaction, is what you're
exactly.
saying. Okay.
You know, I was chatting with my brother before this podcast, and I was telling him that we were going to record, and we were just kind of like just riffing on the hilarity of the situation, about like how much money Shohei has. And then one of us at one point said something along the lines of like, yeah, Shohei has enough money to pay off half of this country's gambling debt. And then my brother just goes, yeah, but he won't. And I'm going to remember that in the next election cycle. So,
that's this year too, just so you know.
Well, no, I mean,
I get it.
The comparison being Biden and student loans, whatever.
I got it.
We laughed a lot about it.
Last thing I do say, so remember Calvin Ridley got suspended?
Yeah.
For placing a bet a full year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So say Ohtani does lead back to him. Does the MLB suspend him?
No. I don't think I would be shocked if they find anything that's incriminating enough for them to really do that.
They want to flip it.
I was kind of shocked that the NFL was that harsh on Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
A full year is kind of a lot.
It's a lot. Dude, it's really bad.
Yeah. But he also gambled on football too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do that. So like, I mean, these guys are making enough money that
it's like a $500 bet, I heard.
They have to it's so petty. You're stupid. Like, just don't be stupid.
So what if we caught, or so what if Caleb comes here and Caleb is a gambler? You know, he's a young guy, he's into it, whatever.
Okay.
And like, what if the NFL catches him gambling? What if they're going to suspend him for a year?
Probably. I mean, if the precedent has been set.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure the Players Association had to have had their hand in that in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But if the precedent's been set, I think it would look pretty hypocritical, and there could probably be some lawyers involved from Ridley's people, like, hey, this guy did the same thing, and I lost a year's paycheck. So, I mean, I think it's not so much of like you have that leeway. I mean, the MLB, there's no precedent for this except for Pete Rose. Who did you see? Like Pete Rose, there was he got caught by, or not caught, but like some guy. He was at a casino. I'm not sure if it was like a small time reporter. And he just made the statement like, I wish I had an interpreter in the 80s or something like that.
I did see that. And NFL gambling. I just want to see if there's a written rule policy. If there is, because I feel like they need to. I feel like...
well, there is now. There's precedent set. You get suspended for a year.
But I feel like...
For a $500 bet.
There is a whole... How long is this? Only 5 pages long. I feel like they need to... I think this is a legitimate thing that like all major professionals... all professional sports need to have a policy in place for this, because it's not going away anytime soon.
And honestly, like, you know, certainly, I mean, I haven't gambled at all in March Madness. I'm super happy about that, and I'm really trying to back it off, because I think the only thing this really benefits, like, do we know anyone who's really killing it gambling personally?
I don't gamble to win money.
Yeah,
I gamble to
enhance your experience watching a game, which is
my
fine.
unit is $5.
Yeah,
John.
that's just
it's
fine.
a latte at Starbucks.
Kevin, I'm not criticizing you, but not everyone's unit is $5, and not everyone is gambling. You know.
I know.
Things.
I get it.
And you can. I just think that the idea, I think I'm more a pro of sometimes of protecting people from themselves, and I think this is one of those situations.
We could talk about something else that we just talked about. I'm not even going to bring it up, but yeah.
Well, to kind of just like bring this point home, so tomorrow is Doctor's Day. Tomorrow's National Doctor's Day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, thank you. And
thank you, doctor.
Yeah, I guess I said thank you before you actually thanked me. You're welcome, I guess. But anyway, point of the story is, a couple of the nurses got us all little goodie bags with, like, you know, some candy and some pens and like a couple of scratch-off lottery tickets. And there is a Muslim lady I work with who got the scratch-off tickets. She said, you can have them. And I go, why? She's like, she goes, Muslims don't gamble. And you know what? Muslims don't gamble, Muslims don't drink. And I said to her, those are 2 things that I do that I hate myself for. So I think you guys got that right. So I would like to see less sports gambling in America. I think it's way too accessible now. That's my grandstand.
And with that, I will now place a $1,000 call option for FanDuel.
There you go.
That's all I got.
Well, call means that call isn't not you're shorting them. Call is in what is
going up.
It's going up. Okay.
Yeah. It'll be a put option.
It's not going anywhere. They're going to keep making money until
until
there's laws that walk this back, because casinos make a ton of money, and I'm sure these betting apps do too. All right.
They make a lot of money. I think the risk with them is they're going to get shut down because of this exact reason.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, but I think if
they're also paying Jamie Foxx like $1 billion. MGM's paying him $1 billion.
But if they're around for so long that they keep on accruing so much money, they're going to have the power to leverage laws against them, I feel like. So this might not be going anywhere anytime soon, but that's just my personal opinion. If you want to gamble, if you like gamble.
Yeah, do we talk about it?
I definitely do it from time to time. Yeah, but first of all, that kind of is what highlights how stupid this is to me, because we've spent time researching it and like making podcasts about it, and then we suck. Like even like people who know a lot about football and trying to learn more about gambling and the numbers and the lines, we still aren't very good at it.
Here's the thing. Don't listen to us our gambling advice because we're not good at it. I'm kidding. We did okay, I think.
Nah, we weren't good.
That's all right.
I can tell you we weren't good.
Well, we don't do it for fun.
Yeah.
We do it for fun, should I say.
Yeah. We don't do it for fun. We do it because we have to.
All right, my last question. Who's your pick to win the NCAA tournament?
NCAA tournament?
Yeah.
I don't got a pick. I think probably Purdue's smart money.
No, UConn smart money.
UConn smart money?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I still want to pick Purdue.
Me too. Let's go Boilermakers.
All right. I guess that's a good place to leave it off at any. Be sure to like and subscribe. We really appreciate. We haven't got any comments in a little while.
We got a ton of likes.
A lot of likes, a lot of views. Really appreciate you guys watching. But yeah, give us a comment. Anything you guys think about here? What's your take on gambling? What's your take on Caleb Williams? Like and subscribe. At the 100 subscribers, we're going to be giving away my Anthony Richardson
before the draft. I thought
before the draft. It's got to be before the draft. Otherwise, I'm holding on to this.
And we're gonna go live. We're gonna go to the draft in Detroit.
Go to the draft. I'm also in a couple of days probably gonna be posting out another like card break video that we just did. Big haul here. Not to spoil, but I got a Will Anderson signed card. Pretty hyped about. And we also got a couple of notable Bears rookies that we were pretty hyped about. So be sure to watch that video, and if you like it, give it a like, and be sure to subscribe. That's all I got, Kevin.
Awesome.
Any parting words?
Let's go Bears.
Let's go Bears. All right.
Peace.